Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate this.
Welcome to the Elev8 podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy Josh.
And Reg.
And we're gratefully back on with you yet again. Well, we're in a bit of a different spot, aren't we? The intro music cut off abruptly because we're just setting up things. We're trying new things out because, well, I don't know. Going to give you a bit of a hint. This might be our new spot for election night and our election night stream. We're looking forward to it. Reg, how you feeling, big dog?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling like I spent way too much time today looking through liberal policies, conservative policies, and I'm happy to be live with everybody here because honestly, these lives make it worthwhile and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm happy to share all that with everybody. And but yeah, just really excited to be here. And then the new space is really cool. It's like we got a fire behind us. I get to actually look at Josh right now. This is awesome. So glad you're all with us.
Yeah, no, we're super stoked to be here. Obviously, we have some things to talk about. Mark Carney doing Mark Carney things. And we discussed that on the afternoon episode today of him saying, my platform is so great. $130 billion worth of spending is the way to go. The conservative platform absolutely sucks, is what he's saying. And then we had reporters who questioned him on that and saying, but they're actually having fiscal responsibility, which people want you to have, yet you're not showing that. And he says, well, go talk to another economist who'll say how bad the conservative platform is. And that's how we dealt with that. So that's Mark Carney's way. But tonight's a little bit different in terms of I'm usually wearing a t-shirt, wearing something relatively, neutral. Tonight, I'm wearing the Privateers hoodie tonight. You might not know what that is. It is the senior lacrosse team here in Nova Scotia. It's a team I play with. I'm not able to be with them over in Prague at the moment, but they are over there in a big tournament looking for the three-peat for the Nova Scotia Privateers. Wishing the boys luck. Their first game is tomorrow morning over in the Czech Republic, and wish those boys luck. So I had to show and represent, and we got to do what we got to do. Reg, let's talk about some conservative fiscal planning. Or the costing platform that dropped. You had some issues today. We talked on the phone, and people have been talking about, oh man, where's this conservative costing platform? Even Carney today is like, we've been waiting on them forever. They just kind of wrote it they scribbled it on a napkin, and that's what they put forward. We actually have a plan, is what he had to say. What was your perspective reading through the liberal costing plan versus the conservative costing plan?
So I actually took a chance and looked at all of the entirety of the liberal plan, including all of the rhetoric, all of the outlined points, and then did the same for the conservatives. And what I found was that it took me hours, and to be quite honest, I skimmed the rest of it because it was just taking so long to get through the liberal plan. And it was on multiple web pages. You had to click through things. It was painful to get through. And then when I compare that to the conservative one, it was literally, 24 pages in a PDF, everything laid out in bullet points, boom, boom, boom. I was like, this is so much easier to digest. And it just kind of spoke to even the way the policies are written and the way that they've kind of displayed them. Like when you look at some of the things that they've outlined in the different areas on the liberal plan, they talk a lot about, proposed supports, and they don't actually put any money beside those. So that's why I find it very interesting when they talk about like, the 130 billion that they're going to spend. It's like, I'm thinking that's going to be like double. If you actually look at every line item that they've said, support, add funding to, match funding for a couple different things. I think there was one that was on like protecting nature and green space. And they said, we're going to match donations up to 250 million. I was just like, yeah. Okay. So there's just things that are just not accounted for in that plan that I found very interesting because they're apparently supporting everything and everybody and their dog too. However, not all of that is captured in their fiscal portion of that plan. Now, the conservatives, what they've done really well is they've listed everything out. I found the conservatives plan to be very spicy. I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
Reading through it, it was just like, here's the policy thing and here's how the liberals suck. Here's the policy thing and this is how the liberals suck. And it was like, oh, okay. And like, at first it was kind of funny, but then it kind of got a little old when you're actually reading this for information. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of been my theme with the Conservatives this time around is that you're doing too much. Like just throw a little spice here and there so you keep the reader's attention, but don't overwhelm you. And like every page, it was like building homes for a change, protecting the environment for a change. It was just like, we get it. It's for a change. I already voted for you.
Yep.
So, but what was really nice to see was that they actually laid out everything that they said they were going to support. They put a dollar value beside, and they actually made it clear where the money was going to be going and where the money was going to be saved, which I found with the Liberals, they did that a bit, but they left so much out of that they apparently are supporting and promising. So that was the part that was the biggest difference between the costing plans entirely.
Right. So we're going to do something the people are asking. We had a super chat come in for you, Reg.
Okay.
Specifically for you. And they're saying the set looks good, guys. Shout out to Builder by Day podcast for letting us use the space. They're amazing. Check out their podcast. They're fantastic. They're saying now we just need to hear Reg a little bit better. So we just got to bring that mic a little closer.
Is this better?
And do that. It would really help the homies out. David Bell, just lighten you up like that.
Oh, man. You wait till I go live tomorrow. It's going to be a gong show.
Oh, baby, let's go. No, it'd be exciting. So that's kind of what your perspective was on this was, there was a little bit of, I shouldn't say there was a lot of spice in it. You could have gone without a little bit of the extra, but for the most part, the platform itself seems very sound.
The platform was very sound. I didn't love a couple pieces in it, but that's just personally because of where my values are at. And then there was a lot in the Liberal platform that I didn't like because of where my values were at. So there was one thing that I thought that was really great from the Liberal platform that I was like, if the Conservatives would have pulled that one over. So I think they could probably, the Liberals have stolen so much from the Conservatives. Do it back. There's some good things in the Liberal platform that I liked that I think you could take.
Like what?
So they had a whole section on women's issues, and they did a really good job laying it out. They're like, use the CIHR, which is the Canadian Institute of Health Research, to actually fund studies on postpartum and like specific like women's issues to do with like childbirth and after that. So there's like some really good pieces under that. I'll actually pull it up because I have it here. Establishing like the new in vitro fertilization program, more research, investing in data collection, increasing support for women's economic leadership opportunities, and then protecting and strengthening childcare in Canada. So like I was just like, okay, these are all really positive. And there's a couple pieces there that the Conservatives already said that they're going to do. Like they're not taking away the daycare subsidy, much to the chagrin of many of the podcasters and influencers online that were trying to tell you that, Poilievre's going to cut childcare. He's not going to do that. And it was funny because even before he came out and outright said that, we had interviewed Rick Perkins. He was like, that's not going to happen. Like, that's stupid. We're not going to do that. So like there's some things on education too that I thought were really well done. I really support heavily investing in families, in parents, in education, and in children specifically, because when you look at studies on happiness, longevity, a couple things that Harvard did around, quality of life, and they did a whole study on basically people followed them, their children, their grandchildren. It's one of the largest studies on longevity there is. And what they showed was that every dollar that you invest into children, it returns massive dividends. So a lot of these programs that are supposed to support seniors, it's like, it's actually not where you should be spending your money. Yeah. But so I thought that was really great. Anything underneath where is it at? Anything under global affairs, basically, I was just like, you can leave that, please. Like things around that there we go, global leadership, new foreign policy. They're going to build more secure and economic partnerships with basically anybody but the US. Yeah. They're going to continue to support China. Ukraine. Yeah. I thought it was interesting when they talked about supporting Ukraine in the Conservative platform, they specifically mentioned that they're going to take the seized Russian assets and give that to Ukraine as support. And the Liberal one, it's basically like, we're just going to turn over money to them. Right. Which is like fantastic. Yeah, great. Additional funding for LGBTQI plus international assistance programs, expanding the Rainbow Refugee Program, continuing international climate financing. Like, it's just, there's so many pieces there, which like, I'm like, why are we doing that when we have people living in tents? Yeah. Like, it just, come on, read the room here. We can't be sending this much money out to other countries for interesting policies. That's what I'll leave it at.
Yep.
When we have people who are in dire need right in our own country right now. It's like, maybe think about domestic first. And the problem is that they've apparently thought of domestic so much that they're just going to completely destroy the budget. But however, bring it into balance,
dude. That's
by 2028.
Dude, that's a magic trick
Like,
I've never seen in my life.
What?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of that's where I'm just over all of it. I think it was weird. Today I felt spicy. Today I was just like, yeah, let's go. Let's have some fun. I wasn't planning to do a show this afternoon. Then I just kind of flipped the camera on, went live stream, and just went off. So anyone who watched that, you're welcome. But like, really at the end of the day, yesterday I was actually really upset. You would have seen it on the afternoon episode when I played the clip of Mark Carney just saying that Poilievre's gonna use the notwithstanding clause to ban abortion.
I know.
And then not that it's an accusation, it's a fact. It's a fact. And that's when I got upset. And I was texting Jasmine about it. I was like, I actually am like emotionally annoyed by that right now. Like, just the manipulation of that and manipulation of people's emotions, continue to lie to them over and over and over again, shows me a party who doesn't actually think they're going to win. Everything I'm seeing is just, like, it's one thing to be slimy and greasy in politics, but when you're actively doing what they've been doing, I just don't see that as a strategy of like, oh yeah, we're going to win this. Like, I don't see that being the case. I'm sorry. You tell me the polls are saying one thing and tell me this person's doing the other. I get the feeling the liberal team, their war room, their beautiful war room over there, is saying that is just seeing something else, and they're getting nervous.
Well, are you going to run the risk of doing things like Buttongate or outright lying about the other, person's platform if you actually think that you've got this in the bag?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like one of those pieces that give me a little bit of hope. And I told you earlier about, going to see my barber, and my barber was just like, oh, I'm going to vote at the advanced polls tomorrow. And I'm like, sir, the advanced polls closed yesterday. And he's like, oh, I guess I'm not voting then. Oh, well, liberals are going to get anyway. So it's one less vote for the liberals, but they're going to win anyway. I've seen the polls. I know what's going to happen. I was just like, well, you know what? People need to shut up about the polls being, fake, because we need to ride this fake poll wave.
Yeah.
And just let people stay home.
Right.
If they don't want to vote liberal because they feel that it's in the bag, that's great for them. They can just stay home on the couch.
Enjoy, watch some Netflix, enjoy your time.
Yeah, watch a hockey game or two.
Yeah, exactly. The playoffs are on. What are your thoughts on what covered David Coletto last night and his position on, like, was this all recency or response bias? And I know he was being a little cheeky with it, but I was kind of curious your perspective on that.
So I thought about that for a bit, and it's interesting because there are some polls where it's like clear response bias. They're framing the question to get an answer that they want. I mean, the one that I showed the last time when I actually broke down the polls a bit, and that egregious way that they've framed Pierre Poilievre, it's like, do you want Satan Pierre Poilievre or do you want Hitler Pierre Poilievre? You decide. Yeah. It's like, what? And so, like, yeah, obviously some of these polls are using that. I think more so than response bias, I think what we're seeing is an inflation of sample size numbers. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to match the census data for the country. And the problem is that a lot of conservative leaning folks are going to be working. Like, I got a call, and you all know that I voted conservative on Sunday. So I got a call and I couldn't answer because I'm in the middle of a meeting because I'm working. And so I'm not answering this poll, but yet somebody who might not be conservative leaning, who may be at home or doing something else, I'm not going to accuse them of not working, but whatever they're doing, they might be able to answer the phone, or they might be able to take time to log in and do something like that. I'm just saying a lot of conservative folks that I know are working 1, 2, sometimes 3 jobs while trying to take care of their families. So they don't have time for that. And then also, I think the one thing that I thought was interesting about David Coletto's conversation was the fact that he said, people honestly not being psychologically safe to express that they want to vote conservative, because I'm in that position in my workplace where everybody in my workplace are very loudly, vocally saying that they're voting Liberal. And then anytime you say that something to the contrary, you get your head ripped off, basically. So it's like, I'm not going to go around telling people that where I'm voting. However, it did come out in one of our lunchtime meetings where we were just, talking and everything, and it got brought up and they asked me what I was voting, and I was honest. I said, yeah, I'm voting for the Conservatives. I got my head chewed off. And then I got 2 messages from 2 people in my workplace being like, yeah, we're also voting Conservative, just so you know, so you don't feel like you're alone or whatever. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, you didn't have to do that. But I wonder how many folks are in that basket where they're just like, I don't feel safe to actually say that I'm voting for another party, which to me speaks to more of the crazy divide that's existing in this country. So rather than anything to say about the polls.
Totally. Well, this is the one thing we'll kind of do here this quickly. First off, I see there's over 1,000 of you on stream right now. Thank you. You're beautiful. I think you're awesome. But the one thing that's bothering me right now is that there's only 48 likes on the stream right now. Get those likes up. I want to see those over 100 within the next, 2 minutes. That'd be fantastic. We really enjoy that. Especially as we go into this next point where Lisa Raitt joined Vashti Kapelos on CTV Power Play this afternoon talking about Carney's plan, the Conservatives platform that got released. And she was talking about what it's been like for her being on the ground and talking to people, going door to door, and what she's been hearing from voters. I thought was very interesting. We're going to get that played here. Just let me know when you're good to go, Brendan, and we'll send it over to you. And, but yeah, I did a whole, segment on Lisa Raitt this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just love that she's been going on all these shows and just being like, yo, this is what's going on. This is what I'm seeing. And people are actually really funny about how they do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we all good?
I'll start with you.
All right.
My sense is, and I
Hit
could be
play,
wrong,
Brendan.
The conservative message around change, both delivered vis-a-vis the leader, but also through ads, has solidified in particular over the last 9 or 10 days. Do you think they would be in a better position if that message had been stronger at the start of the campaign?
No, I don't. I think we are where we are right now. And you can quarterback this as much as you want in terms of trying to figure out what we should have done at what point. The reality is that we are exactly where we need to be right now. We're talking about change. We're pointing out the fact that the Liberals have been in power for 10 years, and they're not really talking about that much change. In fact, you can look at their platform and see that it's very similar and the same people, all of that stuff. So that all makes sense. I'll tell you what I'm hearing at the doors, though. As Benzie pointed out, I have been out in Ontario. I've been out in Cape Breton as well. And if I could sum it up in one kind of thought without hopefully ticking off all of my friends, what I am hearing from people who are not giving Conservatives their vote is that they like the Conservative policies, but they want Mark Carney to implement them. And I don't know how you defend against that.
What do you say?
All good. So, obviously, we're apologizing for any audio issues we were having. These videos in general, they tend to have really low audio levels, so we have everything jacked up to the max. We got as high as we can. I'm sorry, folks. But what Lisa was saying was going door to door, if you saw there. People wanting, loving, they're enjoying, they are seeing the dream, they're seeing the vision of the Conservative platform, but they don't want it from Poilievre. They want it from Mark Carney. Reg, what's your reaction to that?
Yeah. I understand why they're saying that.
Yeah.
And it's because people don't like the way that Poilievre has come across as being like very angry, very aggressive. They don't like that in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking for Poilievre's ideas, but Mark Carney's voice, basically, to say them. And also, too, with Mark Carney, you get this big resume piece that they add on there that they love.
Yeah.
They love the idea of somebody like very highly educated, very well connected. There's a prestige to it that they don't feel that Poilievre has, which in a way I feel like is a little bit of his superpower, because he can connect to people at all levels and say like, hey, like, you decide to jump into your trade and do that. I'm jumping into my trade and doing what I love, and I've made it to the top of my game by just working hard. Whereas Mark Carney is kind of, riding on that cloud of superiority. So it kind of helps him connect to the everyday voter, but I can still see where that middle class, upper class are really looking at this going, oh, well, we want somebody that looks more like us. And we want somebody who's, you know, in the upper echelons that we aspire to be at. And so I think that that's what it is, honestly. And I also, there's just, I think that's what it is. People just, they don't like the aggressiveness. And I really appreciate the direction that Pierre's kind of taken with, like, you know, saying, hey, you know, the aggressiveness, one was because I was frustrated with the state of things. And I think that that really feels very genuine because the rest of Canada feels that too. But, and also to the idea of, like, he was an opposition leader.
Yeah.
So when you're in opposition, you oppose things, you get frustrated, you get snappy. Like that's your job. He's literally doing his job. But as a liberal leader, or sorry, as the conservative leader now going for prime minister, he's acting more like a prime minister, very like calm, collected, like almost like regal-ish, like, you know what I mean? Like he looks like a leader. And so I think that that's what's changing for people. I just think that because of that really short election window, he didn't really have enough time to kind of like make that distinction of, oh, opposition leader done, prime minister start. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of funny to me, the whole Mark Carney situation of it. You talked about the voice. They love the Poilievre ideas, but they like the Mark Carney voice. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You like the Mark Carney voice, clearly, because you're getting the exact same policies that Trudeau had, but with the Mark Carney voice. And you're just like, and like, I know you had conversations with people who are struggling now because like they really struggle with Poilievre. They struggle with voting blue. But they see the amount of spending that just got released and they said, I don't want that. That's not the answer. So people are in this moment, they're like, I might have to vote Poilievre, and they feel icky doing it. They feel like it's bad. And it's the aggressive side of it, sure. I get a lot of it is the brainwashing, I'll call it what it is, through our media to make people think like they are evil if they vote conservative. I had literally relatives attacked at the polls for saying they're voting conservative.
What?
Yeah, well, Ontario's nuts, and so it's just that's where things are at, and to a degree. And so I understand where it comes from. I disagree with it, but it is interesting to see people like, oh man, that platform on the blue side's looking a lot better. And so, but they just can't get behind or get by the Poilievre versus Carney situation. Even though Carney is just like, I know you're going to see him in a specific light, regardless. I just don't. The guy stinks. Like he's not nice. He's not kind. He's arrogant. He always brushes people off who he thinks he's better than, whether it be the media, whether it be random reporters, or even people in the street. He just thinks he's better than you. And so I don't get why that's attractive, but here we are.
Like I said, I think it's people look at that. They look at his status and they're like, that's where I want to be, right? You know, I want to be a high status person. So I think that's attractive for people, but I think you're totally right around that whole like dismissive, arrogant attitude. Like it's just, you know, oh, sorry, you know, little people. I don't buy my own strawberries. I have people for that. And it's interesting that is something that people are willing to accept when they're voting. I think a real miss was actually the Conservatives not releasing their platform before the Liberals did, before the advanced polls. I know I read a couple articles, one actually in the Financial Post, or the National Post, sorry, that said basically the same thing, which I was like, oh, I feel validated by that. But basically that, you know, by not releasing that ahead of time to show that fiscal conservativeness, which is what we desperately need in a time where our economy is literally falling off of a cliff. I think that was a miss to not release that earlier. I know why they didn't release it before the Liberals, because they were probably worried that half of it was going to get plagiarized and attacked and then directly written about in the Liberal platform.
So there's a couple things I've heard from actually within the party, people who are kind of in and around this release of the platform. One thing is what they made clear is the Liberals released theirs when they did because they wanted to bury it over the Easter weekend and have no one talk about it. conservatives actually purposely waited. Part of it is what you explained there, but the other part of it is they actually wanted to release it on main time. Like mainstream, let's go. I want this out. I want everyone to see this because, as you said, it was fairly easy to read, fairly easy to digest, and they were proud of what they were putting forward and thought it was a better option. And so that's part of, like, again, there's just a lot of different reasons all enveloped in those ideas. But I think that's, we'll see if it's a miss. We'll see if it's not. I tweeted about that earlier this week of they clearly are doing it for one reason. We'll see if it ends up kicking them in the butt at the end of the day. But
yeah. But release it on the Thursday then. If you want it for main time air, release it on the Thursday. I do find it funny though that the Liberals releasing their platform on the Sunday, Easter Sunday, and then Pope Francis passes away, and that's the only headline everywhere. It's like even Putin recognizes Pope Francis. I'm like, oh man, so that's the only thing taking over the media right now is this loss for the Christian community. And so I guess that works for the Liberals, but there's no escaping the fact that it was a ridiculous plan that they put out there, just without the information that you need to be able to make an informed decision, honestly.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about comparing the two, whoever did the graphic design work for the Liberals knocked it out of the park. It's like a really pretty plan, and I found that looking at
it looked nice.
Exactly. I looked at the Conservatives and I was like, you guys could have maybe spruced it up a bit. However, for readability, for making something that's actually accessible, way better on the Conservative side.
The party of accessibility has an inaccessible plan. Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, what was really interesting is a lot of their plans, I guess, for different departments talks about putting plain language in, making things transparent, making things easy to understand, easy to read, easy to digest. And that was evident in their platform document. And then I also thought it was funny that you mentioned abortion, and right in bold lettering, it's like the Conservative Party hasn't for 21 years and will not continue or will continue to not support abortion or change
legislation
around abortion. And it was just kind of like, I hate that you had to put that in bold lettering on this page just so that it's there. Can we get away from that? That's not the issue in our country.
Yeah, no one actually cares. But I shouldn't say no one, but the vast majority, it's a non-issue because they know it's a non-issue in their heart of hearts. No one's touching that.
Well, that's the thing. It's one of the things actually I saw in the Liberal platform though was they were talking about funding using public funds to fund abortion. And that one was the one I was like, I may not say you have freedom of choice to do whatever the heck you want with your own body. That's something I fervently believe in. However, I don't want to be paying for that procedure for you. I'm sorry. That's you have
getting spicy.
You have choice over your own body and your own bodily autonomy, but I don't want to pay for your choices.
Hey, are you talking about the medical sector here, sir?
No, I'm not.
Just want to make sure.
I'm being clear that is my personal view on it based on my values.
Oh, he's got values.
I'm using my appropriate lingo to save me from any kind of legal repercussions.
There you go. Just me, Nicole. We're gonna catch up on super chats here. It says, husband and I and both my sons and their wives voted Sunday Easter gift to ourselves and hit the like. Appreciate it, Nicole. You are the best. We then come on down here. Marine Breezeball dropped $45 on us, bro. Isn't that something? Thank you, Maureen. You are the real one. You're real MVP.
Thank you, Maureen. Really appreciate that.
Real MVP over here. All right, we are missing Portuguese pie. Says, damn, boys, the new set is looking clean. Love the vibe it's giving, and it will be sweet on election night. Are you guys going to do an in-studio viewing party only, or also have online peeps join? We will be, you know what?
Can we tell them?
Let's announce it right now. Let's have some fun. Yes, we will be having Jasmine Lane joining us in studio, as well as be having a couple other join us virtually throughout the night. We're looking excited to have them, and we'll be in the Builder by Day podcast studios here for election night. And so this was our test drive of it, where we wanted to. We have an amazing producer behind the desk right now, and Brendan, who's doing a lot of work for us right now, trying to figure out. He was trying to dumb himself down to my level of my workflow, which we really appreciate him doing. Because this guy's worked on cruise ships, doing multiple huge setups via live stream. So he's done some big stuff, and he's like, "Is this what you're using? I'll do my best tonight, boys." This is ABCs over here. But no, we really appreciate that. So the Builder by Day podcast studio is really grateful for them just giving us their studio space free of charge. Like, they're just here. They appreciate what we're doing. We appreciate the mission that we're on, and they wanted to help out. So just kudos to them, and Jasmine will be joining us all the way from Manitoba in studio with us. So we're looking forward to that.
I know. I'm so excited because when we were talking about this originally, we were like, we'll fly you down. Like, just come on down. Like, spend some time. We each have rooms in our houses. We'll house you. She's like, guys, I'm not like taking over your space. But like, just come down. So excited to actually have her down with us in person.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun night. And Portuguese Pie, DM us on X. We will like to get you on that virtual to join us.
Yeah, because I think we have like, what is it, 5 individuals now? 4 or 5?
Lined
Confirmed?
up? Yeah, well, 3 or 4.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Angus says, I'm counting on Liberals voting on election day, not in advance polling, giving them a chance to see what a train wreck the Liberal platform is. Fair enough. I feel that. I feel that. Judy Beauchamp says, great job, guys. I'm a boomer voting for Polyev. Boomers for Polyev. Here we go.
Yeah, I never got a chance to see how that poll or the question worked out on
Oh,
X.
dude. It got wild, dude.
Oh, did it? So Josh and I were talking this morning, and one of the things that I wanted to say or wanted to understand was basically, what is the boomer demographic thinking around support for the Conservatives or not supporting the Conservatives, especially in Atlantic Canada, where Polyev is kind of making his play tomorrow to try and convince those boomers, trying to convince Atlantic Canadians to abandon their liberal ways and support the Conservative Party. So I was just like, Josh, let's throw this out on X and see what people say. So I haven't had a chance to look at this because when I say hours, I literally mean hours. It was on my lunch hour, in between a couple meetings at work, and then it was as soon as I was done my work day, just head down, ate my supper as fast as possible to keep going through these platforms. So I haven't had a chance to look at it. So it'll be a surprise for me as well as you folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Robert Haynes hit us with a really cool comment. He says, awesome that you guys will be collaborating with Jasmine on election night. We might just be witnessing the genesis of a new and exciting media juggernaut. I love that. I love that word, juggernaut. We're here for it. Can't wait for Jasmine's interview with Pierre. Yeah, we are looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
We are really pumped for her to, who got that opportunity. And she's been talking to us quite a bit of what was said and some questions that were asked, and I think it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be exciting to watch. But back to the poll you were talking about, not even so much the poll, the question we put out next.
Yeah.
So we almost got ratioed, which I think is a good thing. It means people were engaged on it.
Yeah.
Because essentially what the original post says, I actually took it verbatim, almost what you texted me.
Yeah.
It says, I keep hearing, quote unquote, boomers are selfish. I don't quite buy the monolith narrative. If you're a boomer, what should Pierre's messaging be to older Atlantic Canadians to move them to vote Conservative? And Paula Clark came in, says, my take is that they're clinging to a past that no longer exists. They're driven by a fear of the unknown, and Carney feels familiar to them. Since what's familiar worked out for them, they magically believe it will work out for the next generation.
That's really insightful. I like that a lot.
Yeah, Paula's a real one. She's been really great engaging with us, so I'm not surprised that was so great.
Yeah, what I love about that is it makes sense. It says, okay, back in my day, this is what we did and this is what worked. So therefore, this should work for the next generation as well. It kind of speaks to just almost like an accidental ignorance of like what's changed.
Yeah. Where,
today's generation is fighting against a global market, not just a domestic one.
Right.
And then all the other things like the unaffordability, the changes in legislation that causes it almost impossible to build or buy a house, like just things like that. So I really like that. I appreciate Paula for presenting that.
For sure. Well, here's one that's a little bit less thought through, but it's interesting regardless. I shouldn't say that. It's a little more abrasive, I should say, is more the word I'm looking for. He says, it's the truth. And by the way, it's fine. All voters should vote selfishly. That's the only way we know we're actually getting the thing that would benefit the majority. In other words, be selfish, vote, and vote for yourself.
Okay.
Frankie Grimes Jr. said, "Don't be the first generation who leaves things worse for the next generation."
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting. Because it kind of plays to that legacy piece of like, what is the legacy that you're leaving?
Right.
But still, it feels shamey. And I had this conversation today because anytime we're in projects or dealing with folks, you don't want to shame them towards a direction because it never works. It might give you the answer you're looking for in the moment, but then as soon as, you know, the lights are off, the cameras are gone, everyone's gone home, they're going to do the thing that they want to do because they're like, one, maybe I'm going to do exactly the opposite because you tried to shame me. And then two, I feel bad, but I'm still going to do the thing.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I disagree with that one.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to shift over to the super chats here because I think it was interesting because I do want to have a question for you based on this. It says, Mobile Rider says, Carney is deeply connected to the World Economic Forum. The WEF is now headed by former CEO of Nestle. Nestle claimed that freshwater was not a human right. That is true. And Carney is a nasty piece of work. He's a nasty man. But like
the Trump voice and everything for that.
He's a nasty man. So yesterday, Mark Carney was in Onslow, Nova Scotia at the River Breeze Farms, which admittedly that was... it tore my heart a little bit. I was like, I love River Breeze. There's so many great memories there. They put on a great haunted maze in October. The pumpkin patch is great there. They have great events throughout the year there. They're a beautiful farm run by a beautiful family who is supporting Mark Carney. Anyways, it was interesting him getting heckled by people on the ground. Yeah. And he's like, "We'll get to the World Economic Forum soon, here, guys. Just got my directives." What were your thoughts on him making a joke and making light of that?
I thought that was excellent.
From
that
him?
was well played for the Liberal Party. It makes light of something. It makes people look like tinfoil hat conspiracy wearers. I was like, I would not have been able to play that off any better than he did. Like, that was well done from political maneuvering.
Yeah.
Also incredibly evil. Like,
Right.
we're talking like complete psyop of like, wow.
We're gonna gaslight you to
We're gonna
bits.
gaslight you to pieces. But I mean, that's the way with this party has been, right? You know, they'll say one thing, do another, say something in French, do another thing in English. So I'm not surprised, but I thought from a political maneuvering standpoint, excellent in an evil way, like absolutely excellent, because it's like you literally took the guy who co-wrote the Century Initiative and made him your advisor. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this guy's got a massive profile in the World Economic Forum. Of course you're getting direction from these rich and powerful elites. That's your bread and butter. Those are your friends and family. So yeah, like 100% that's exactly what's happening. But to do that the way that he did, I was kind of like, I hate you, but that was well played.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I right to this point where it made me mad the way he did it too. I was like, oh, yeah, we're just gonna act like this isn't a real thing. Got it? Because that has probably been the thing that shocked me the most, was talking to people who are liberal, who I think are smart people, and when they told me that the World Economic Forum is a conspiracy theory that Pierre Poilievre is peddling in the House of Commons, I said, here's a website, here's a board of trustees. Is it a conspiracy theory? Oh, like, it's not as bad as Pierre Poilievre makes it out to be in the House of Commons. I'm like, oh, so we're shifting the goalposts now. Got it. I think that was what's frustrating, is like, they act like it's not a thing, and then when they're confronted with the reality, oh, okay, it's not as bad as it is. And it's like, just admit that we've allowed a organization outside of this country to have a say on our politics. Like, we have contracts. Our government signed contracts with this organization to have say over different projects that happen here. Is it a conspiracy theory? Holy jumping.
Well, it's interesting too, because going back to the platforms, you can see in the Liberal platform where they're talking about, we're going to restore funding to UNRWA. We're going to, adhere to UNDRIP, which is the United Nations Declaration of Rights and something for Indigenous people. And like, they are putting all the right things in place there to say, like, look, we're aligned with the world. And I think on some level, Canadians really desire harmony, and we want to be aligned with the very best and brightest of the world. I think the problem is that we have a hard time swallowing the idea that maybe some of these organizations are not as wholly as we thought they might have been. And
yeah, former WEF member over here.
exactly. So looking from the inside going, oh, wow, you guys are really just appearance only. And so, yeah, it's hard. But then you look at the conservative platform, they're like, we're defunding anything, basically World Economic Forum or UN or anything like that. And we're just focusing on ourselves. And it seems heartless and it seems selfish. But when you actually look at like the good in the world that some of these programs are doing, I don't know if it's all there. I wonder if it's the same kind of experience that I had, where you've got a bunch of people who are working really hard to do something good for their communities because they feel compelled to, and they feel like this organization is going to support them. And then in the end, it's like, they're just in it for the clout. They're in it so they can take their private jets down to the Amazon and drive on their newly paved road through the rainforest to get to their climate summit. Like, that's what we're talking about, this level of hypocrisy.
Definitely.
So
Reg Porter came in hot.
I love another Reg.
Let's go. Says, I'm an Alberta boomer and I want to stay Canadian. Vote Conservative.
I have to tell you guys, so I'm actually going to be on, I think it's Skybridge News tomorrow.
Nice.
Out of Alberta, out of Lethbridge, Alberta. So
Lethbridge.
Our Alberta fans, I'll be talking to you tomorrow at I think it's 11:30 your time. So we'll see you then.
Wow, looking forward to that, man. That'll be sweet. M&S Silver says, Leafs 2, send 0. Blue wave coming.
Oh, man. I have so many Leaf fans in my life and in my family. They're very excited. And I'm like, guys, you do this to yourselves every year.
Yeah.
I love you.
I can't wait to do it again.
This is like an abusive relationship now.
Yeah, fair play. Share1965 says, will Wyatt from the National Telegraph be checking in on Monday? Got to help get his subs up. I need to be in talks with Wyatt. Actually, I really do like Wyatt a lot. I haven't talked to him, but I think he's someone I would love to get on. But I know it's the weird part is all these creators, understandably so, are all doing their own live streams. So right now we're all figuring out the technicalities around all that. I'm likely what I've been telling people is like, just connect via FaceTime and we'll just put your feed up so you can still do your live stream, but still be talking to us at the same time. Yeah. I think that'd be cool. So we're just working out the technicalities of it all, but like everyone's doing their own live streams that night. So it's just going to be kind of a tough go to get people on who are doing their own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
we'll do our best to get people out. And if you have other suggestions, send them our way.
Yeah, please
go to their pages and be like, hey, talk to the Elev8 guys.
Yeah, please do your things. So yeah, that's kind of where that's all at. So back to the point of the matter. Lick a chick. This is what we.
I love that, man. Like, I think that's fantastic. To me, like, I grew up in a rural community. Like, that is 100% rural Atlantic Canada. I love it. I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. Good for you guys.
Oh my gosh. So
interesting name though.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So I only heard about this place. So I'll back up. So Jamie Battiste, who is a Liberal candidate running out in Cape Breton, his representatives did a whole thing on Facebook saying, hey, they had a cardboard cutout of Jamie Battiste behind them. Said, hey, please come on down. After you vote, come over to our Liberal headquarters. We will have lick a chicken, have some limited supplies. And I was just laughing so hard because that was such a small town play on so many levels. And I want to make sure I don't make this mistake again, because that was actually put onto me by a viewer. And I want to make sure I get their name. Yeah, Henry put that on to me from Cape Breton. I was like, that was gold, because Lick a Chick is like a staple up there.
Oh yeah,
and right across the street is Lick a Treat, and they sell sundaes and ice cream. So it's a funny spot.
I have been to Lick a Treat. I'm not gonna lie.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
I've done a lot of work up in Cape Breton.
Right.
In this past role and rural previous.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a big love for Cape Breton, and the Lick a Treat was good.
Lick a Treat. Like a treat. Slow Chemical coming in hot, saying, I felt more Albertan than Canadian the last number of years. I don't want Alberta to leave, but eventually something's got to give. Love the show. We don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part, is as two boys out in Nova Scotia, we understand your pain, because I feel like it only makes sense from just a human perspective of, if someone's going to provide you a way of life with their resources, you should respect them and you should make sure that they feel taken care of and included and not used as just a cash cow that you are abusing forever until they're done giving you that money. So I agree. I think Alberta's been treated very poorly over the years. And that's coming from two East Coasters. We agree.
Yeah. And honestly, I have so much respect for Danielle Smith too. I feel like a lot of the ways that she's handled this whole Trump thing has really shown her capacity to lead. And I've said this a number of times now, but like if she made a run for leadership after, you know, everything happens with Pierre and he gets in, he does his time as prime minister. If she took a run at that, I think she would make an amazing leader for the country. I'm not crazy about her current healthcare policy that she's putting in Alberta. So you guys, yeah, interesting choices there. But aside from that, I think that she's done a really good job on kind of like that national level policy. I think that there's a lot that I have praise for Tim Houston in our province as well, also a conservative premier. I think there's some things that he could probably really borrow from Danielle. Not the healthcare strategy. I'll say that again. Yeah. I actually really like our healthcare strategy.
Yeah. Fair play.
And I don't have to say that either, but I just genuinely, I think we're heading in a really good direction. There's some big things coming down the pipe. Yeah, have a lot of love for Alberta. A lot of my family, friends have gone out there. Some of them stayed out there. Some of them have come back with skills and opportunities that they never would have got out on the East Coast. So I think just genuinely there's a lot we can learn from Alberta, and I really hope that we get to that point.
And I've been Alberta bound my whole life. I'll be Alberta bound till I die. Don't copyright that, YouTube. All right. Amy Caratera says, what time will you go live East Coast time for a Canadian election night? We'll be going live at 9 p.m. sharp because that's when our polls close here. So we'll be doing that. And Unacceptable Dave says, Elev8 is the place to be. Everything is going to happen in the East Coast. You're right. You're right. And people are shouting him, David from Moose on the Loose. And I want you guys to do this. So love David a lot. Him and I message almost every day at this point. Fantastic individual. I want you guys to go into his comments throughout the rest of this week and be like, get on the Elev8 live stream for election night. We want you on for the people want you, David. They want to see you. They want to see you on our live stream election night because you're a beautiful person who lives on the island. You've done great work. You've done so much amazing things for the Canadian people. It's time to reap the love that you've sown for the people. They want to see you. They want to love up on you, man. Come on the show and get in his comments and tell him that because he needs to hear it from you guys because he may not think that you love him. No, I'm just kidding. He thinks you guys he thinks you guys are awesome, but sometimes people are just like, they just need a little, like, hey,
A little push.
they love you.
A nudge, if
Hop
you will.
on, hop on.
A nudge.
Yeah, a little nudge. David F.I. says, how about bringing Nadine Ness on out of Saskatchewan? Do you remember Nadine?
No.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Do I?
She spent a lot of time with us at CSFN last year.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you all just saw that happen in real time.
Nadine's awesome.
Yeah.
She's electric. I'd love to have her on. She'd bring a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a couple dinners with her in Ottawa, and we had a lot of fun with her chatting it up. It was fantastic. Stefan Landry says the age divide this election is wild. Old screwing the young, so selfish. This is the thing is I guess we'll see when that time comes. I don't know if the divide is as bad as we think it is.
I don't buy it, honestly.
You don't buy it,
Everybody
huh?
I've talked to that's in that generation are all voting conservative.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen this liberal, loving boomer. Like we saw the meme that came out, which was hilarious. But like for the most part, I'm not seeing that play out. Not in my circles, not in the people that I've talked to. So I really don't buy this whole idea that you've got all these boomers out here screwing us all over. I know the polls are saying that, but I also don't really kind of love the sampling that the polls have done anyway. So I don't know. I don't buy it. I think that we need to get away from that whole like hating the boomer generation crap, because I think that there's a lot of them out there that are doing good work, that are working hard, that are trying to, like I've heard from people who are in that boomer generation who are voting conservative, trying to convince the people and the millennials
Yeah.
to vote conservative. And the millennials are like, oh, well, he's going to take away abortion. And the boomers are like, no, you idiots. He's not going to do that. So I have a lot of respect for the hardworking boomer class that are out there trying to do the work. So I don't think I buy that rhetoric. I think that's something that's come from the polls a bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is strictly anecdotal. But my nan was in the advanced polling line this weekend, and she, as I've told you guys on the show multiple times, she was former hardcore Orange NDP Jack Layton until she died, and previously always NDP. And so she's standing in line, waiting, doing her thing, and then she was also standing beside another senior woman, and they just started chatting it up. And the woman's like, so who are you voting for? And she's like, honestly, like I've voted NDP my whole life, but I'm going conservative this time. Like I can't believe what they've done to the NDP party. I can't believe what the Liberals have done. I can't believe what they've turned into. I thought they were a party that was supposed to be for the people, and I don't see any of that. And I've been like hardcore like NDP socialist like for a long time. Like she literally said the conservative party is the only party who actually is pro workers' rights, which I never thought I would see happen.
Yeah.
And so she like legitimately said that. And the woman's like, well, I've been voting liberal my whole life, and I'm voting conservative this one. Like I'm hearing so many of these anecdotal stories happen around the country that I'm like, is it just the boomers in Toronto at this point?
Yeah.
Is that who it is? Because like I'm curious about Atlantic Canada. Because I know boomers out here have typically really gone liberal typically. Yeah. I'll be curious how that goes. Like, I know this is a huge battleground region right now. But like I have fun. I'd be curious. You're going to Trenton tomorrow night.
Yep.
You're going to be on the ground. You're going to talk to people. You live stream it for the homies.
They're all going to be voting conservative if they're at that rally. Josh.
But I want you to ask a specific question of them. I don't really care about what they're voting for.
What are their neighbors going to vote for?
Yeah. Ask that question.
The neighbor question.
Yeah. I'd be curious. So anyways, that's that. All right. We move on to other things. Oh, Angus came in. One thing is no one is talking about is how many Gen X and boomers that will take their money and leave Canada if Liberals win. Yeah. We're one of those. We're not a part of the boomer generation, but like we are already making plans that like I can't stay here. If I'm being quite frank with you, I can't afford to stay here. I've seen Carney's platform, I've seen what he's going to do. I can't do another 4 years of that kind of spending. It will crush my family. I have to leave. You can call me unpatriotic or un-Canadian all you want. I'm just looking out for my family at that point. I can't be here for that. I'll be quite frank about that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things that I don't think Alberta will stand for that.
No.
So I think that I don't even know if you'd get very far with a Carney government, honestly, because I think that the national unity crisis that would ensue would be quite devastating, honestly, for the country. And it would be, I just don't know what would happen. Some people are saying, oh, that's so inflammatory. I don't know. There's a lot of angry Albertans and rightfully so that have felt totally alienated. So I don't know if, it would be hard.
Yeah.
It's a decision that wouldn't be taken lightly. I know that like we've talked about it in my household, and I said, well, I have some pretty valuable skills, some good education behind me. I know that I could get jobs in certain areas of health tech and health innovation. And, it would suck, but I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife being a healthcare worker as well, I know she would be able to find work. So we wouldn't be up the creek, but, and I mean, the house that we own, if we sold it, we would be in quite a bit of money just because of the stupid inflation that it's not worth that amount by any stretch of the imagination. If it burnt tomorrow, it could build it again for a third of the value that it's supposedly appraised at, and we're paying taxes on at that level. So I'm looking at this going like, do I struggle through another 4 years of this for, a Canadian public that doesn't feel the same way that I do? And I think that's the part of it that's the most challenging. It's because I have roots here. Like my family's been in Nova Scotia for generations. And it was only last generation that they hopped the boat, went over to New Brunswick, had us. And then even my grandparents came back to Nova Scotia. So yeah, it would be hard to leave where I have such deep roots and I have such good connections and wonderful people here. And I love my country. But at the same time, it's like, do you stay with a group of people that obviously are not in a line with you on so many levels? And do you continue to struggle through that ridiculous taxation?
For sure. Josie Darkblade says, Moncton, New Brunswick millennial, always voted NDP, but now I'm going conservative. It's just a story I keep hearing constantly. It's honestly wild to see the amount of NDP who obviously gone to the Liberals during the switch over to Mark Carney, but the amount of NDP that have left to go to the Conservative side has been mind-boggling to say the least too.
But it's kind of obvious though, because if you look at like basically the NDP has always been the party for the worker. They've been the party that's been pro-union, pro-worker, you know, making sure that people are well taken care of. And that's what the Conservative Party has become. Before, the Conservative Party was always like very corporate, you know, big business is king. And now when you even look at some of the pieces, I'm going to pull up that policy document again very well. There's a whole bit on anti-competition, the shame list, which I don't agree with, but I think that we do need to, you know, remove those loopholes for tax evasion. So like he's putting these things in place. And I'm like, man, if he gets in there and he starts doing some of these things, like somebody in their ivory tower is going to assassinate that man, because there is such worker, citizen, person on the ground focus in all of these policies that he's put out there, that how could you not, as an NDP person, vote for him?
That makes sense. Just me, Nicole coming in saying, I think a large part of the divide is, I think this was actually very interesting. I think a large part of the divide is financial status. The ones who can afford the Liberals' ideology and the ones working class level that cannot.
Amen. I totally agree with you. We're seeing the complete evaporation of the middle class. Like the fact that owning a home is now a luxury.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Shelter is a luxury. Good food is a luxury. And we know what happens when you put, you know, unhealthy food into your body. Like, you have a lower life expectancy. You have greater problems with like health. There's, you know what I mean? The stress of being low income also takes down your life expectancy. There's so much around having that affluence and that mobility that you get from having a good job, having a stable home that you own, like the security behind that directly translates into your longevity and your health and your vitality. That, yeah, it really is a class thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll just leave it at that. It's a great point. Did I miss? I feel like I'm missing a bunch here. Okay. Okay, cool. Angus Young is the man says, do you have any fingers on the pulse on what way Ontario is going to go? I have a hope, but my province lacks common sense.
It's interesting. My in-laws are from Ontario. Yeah, I think that one's a toss-up, honestly. I think that in the debates, it was a bit of a miss that Poilievre didn't speak to the auto sector. That's a huge part of Ontario's blue-collar workers. And a lot of like spin-off organizations are fed by the auto sector in Ontario. So I think not naming that is hard. I think that there's a lot of folks that are really excited about the potential for a new high-speed rail line to connect between Quebec City and to Windsor. Like there's some pieces that they've really thrown Ontario out of the Liberal side that I think are really enticing. And then you have a premier there that's kind of been very cozy with the current prime minister. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah, in Ontario, I mean, it's a typical thing. They have to win. You're going to win the rural seats easily in Ontario. I think that will happen. It's when you start getting the GTAs when the toss-up happens. Yeah. Because even I'm hearing, this is mainly from Ron Butler. I think he's the one who mentioned this. I can't remember specifically. But one of the issues that people in the manufacturing sector, if you're an auto, steel and aluminum, what they're facing right now is if you are currently in one of those sectors and that's your job and you are renewing your mortgage, banks are not renewing your mortgage. Yeah. Because they're anticipating that you're going to lose your job. And so it's just like, bro, I've been paying my bills the whole time. Now, that is a huge thing. Now this is tied to your paycheck now, this decision of who you're voting for. Is if you in that world, you really believe Donald Trump is the enemy if you're in that world. And if you're not in that world, then it's like, it's clearly not Donald Trump's the issue here. So it's just like, who do you trust to make that deal happen so you don't lose your job?
Yeah,
and lose your mortgage, lose your house that you've worked so hard for.
Yeah, and there's a couple of aerospace companies actually that were in Milton that under the Liberal government completely evaporated, were bought up by American conglomerates and moved south of the border. And so if you look at this kind of rhetoric that Carney's been putting out there, like, of course, these companies are going to make the decision to go to the more tax favorable U.S. than to stay in Canada. And it's really unfortunate. But I think that, that was something that conservatives needed to kind of push a little bit harder, is that movement over the past decade of companies from the GTA, like maybe not the financial district because that's pretty healthy, but anything like manufacturing base around around Toronto in that GTA area. Like I said, like the Miltons and I'm trying to remember the other one, Mississauga, like those areas, like it's all been moving to the States. And if they continue to tax people into oblivion, where you have to pay people wages that are twice the amount just to keep up with the income tax, they're just not going to be profitable here, and they're going to move.
Yeah. Nope, I agree with that. Another Angus says, we have 4 kids and their spouses will be leaving too. It's about survival. You need to take care of yourself if the Liberals win. And here's the thing, is we're going to be in this room. We're going to be in this room election night. We could potentially be celebrating. We could potentially be in like,
well, crap.
Yeah. Our big goal is to not end up on any highlight reels of people being like, conservatives lost. That's going to be our goal. We're going to deal with it with class, but it's because of how much we're being gaslit by the polls and the media and all this. It's like, I'm feeling the same way I felt election night in the States. I'm like, this could go either way. I don't know how it's going to go. And then Trump just smoked everybody. And then if you looked at, I don't know if you saw that video where we saw the two charts are looking identical from the Canadian election to the American election. And it's like, will that happen here? I don't know. I still stand behind what I said previously. It's not a complete apples to apples comparison, because if Trudeau swapped out with Chrystia Freeland and we're starting to see these trends, I've been like, okay, I think it's going to happen the way it happened in the States. But what we're seeing right now is the difference is the Mark Carney is the X factor here. It's the fact that if instead of Democrats putting in Kamala Harris, they ended up putting Gavin Newsom in pre-fires, that would have been a very different election, I feel like. Yeah. And it would have been more of a dogfight. And that's the only thing that's like, Carney is an X factor, regardless of you like it or not. He is an X factor in this, and people are looking at the resume, looking at him, and that's becoming a factor to a degree. So it's just like, you can disagree, you can not. That's just kind of what I'm seeing. However, I also don't really care. The reason why I say this is because we talked about at the beginning of the show. We're going to keep crawling over broken glass to make sure we vote and make sure we talk to people who go out and vote. Liberals can get comfy. They can sit back in the chairs, enjoy their life saying, oh, you know what? It's raining out today. I'm not, I don't know if we're going to win anyways. I don't need to go vote. That's how we want to keep this. We want to keep people hungry. And if the polls keep people hungry, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. And I think I said this before too. It's one of those things where you need the polls to be close enough that people don't lose hope, but far enough apart that they get, like you said, hungry, that they're like, oh crap, I'm going to use this to fuel me. We need to get out there. We need to get my friends out there. We need to get all my loved ones out there. And we all need to make sure that we don't lose this thing. So it's that delicate balance between hopelessness and then helping. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting.
I know.
We're going to do this together, guys. We're going to do this together.
And this is one of the first elections where I'm just like, holy crap. Like, this is really, really important. Because I feel like every election is important, but this one feels a lot more important than the previous
Well, it's a tipping
ones.
scale, especially after that report came out, but the 2040 prediction, right? Where it's like 15 years from now, Canada's not going to be Canada anymore.
Yeah.
It's already kind of tipping towards that direction. So it's like, we are literally at a fork in the road right now, and we can decide which direction we want to go. Do we want to keep our country, or do we want to be like, yeah, all right, see ya, have a good one, things are changing.
The other thing too is like podcasters will all be toast.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Like we will
We're
be
done.
toast. It will be the CRTC regulations will just be slapped on us left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
Potential fines, like you know what I mean. Like they're gonna look at this and go, "You're anti-Canadian. You're doing something that's creating online harm by having a dissenting voice." So it's just it's one of those things that it's gonna be hard.
They hate us, man. They hate us.
They hate us.
Well, I didn't get this will be great. The live reaction of the Reg here. What were your thoughts on that CTV reporter's tirade, just profanity-laced tirade
Oh my God.
about Rebel News and all that after what happened after the debate night?
I think I said this to you. I think it was there's the egalitarian left again with all their fancy superlatives,
Right.
like that all start with F and end with a K. Like it just could not believe that. And then he was calling them like racist, misogynist, incels, and he used the word incel like 5 times. And I'm like, it's David Menzies. Like of all the people, like he's not an incel. Like that's anyway. I just thought it was so interesting how upset they were and how provoked they were. That how dare somebody enter our space? This is our special spot. And it's like anybody can ask a question, man. Yeah. Like if you get that holy about it, you've got some problems.
Dude, that whole debate. Now that we're away from it, we've been able to talk about the debate and cover it a bit. That whole situation was one of the most wild things I had ever. I was talking to my American in-laws are in town, and I told them what happened. There's like, huh? I was like, I know. It doesn't even happen in American media. That's how crazy this story is. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine Fox News and CNN just throwing down in the middle of the media filing room? Like, it was unreal.
Have you talked to Stu since that all went down?
I have talked to Stu. We've had a couple exchanges on it.
I feel bad. Like, he's a nice guy, but that was a rough moment to be a part of.
Yeah. He feels how I'll leave it at this. I know I don't want to betray his trust or anything like that, but he feels how he feels about it.
Yeah.
He's still very much like he did the right thing. Mm-hmm. And, we have our views on it and our viewers will have their views on it. I would love to, if Stu's employer would allow him, I would love to have him back on the show. Yeah. I would genuinely love to hear his perspective because I would love to hear his perspective about what happened before the camera started rolling.
Yeah, that's the part. That's the part that I want to know, because while I think that mainstream media was in the wrong in all this, I'm like, I can also see Rebel being a little bit provocative and like, what did you say? Like, not that it makes any of the actions right. Like that's the equivalent of like, what were you wearing kind of thing to have this happen. So but at the same time, it's like, come on, guys. Like, I don't think you're totally innocent in all this. So like, I can't believe we were attacked. And like, well, but we knew that like going into that early, that like we saw basically the response from mainstream media just attacking the commissioner, being like, how could you let them in? How could you let them have 5 questions? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe you've done that. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. I'm going to get right back onto that, but I'm going to hit this super chat quick. It says, Nylock says, half my life in Ontario, half my life in Alberta. If Liberals win, I'm voting separation. Crap. Well, I just lost my connection there. If the Liberals win, I have family and family friends, boomers voting Liberal. It's not rhetoric. Oh, Reg says, I have family and family friends, boomers voting Liberal. It's not rhetoric.
Oh, okay. So saying that, there's some boomers that are obviously voting.
Yeah, we're going the other way.
It's interesting that they said, half of his life in Ontario. I wonder if those are the Ontario folks.
Yeah, I imagine too. So back to the Rebel News situation. Also, just a heads up. Apparently, there's some people who are still having a little bit hard time with your level. So if you want to, not so much, you just need to speak up a bit. That's all. I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, people are just like, Josh is loud and annoying, obnoxious. And Reg is more thoughtful in his thinking and speech. So that's all. That's the difference.
Or Reg doesn't know how to talk into a microphone properly. Apparently,
dude, I thought you were in the worship band back in the day. Don't you know how to speak in mics?
Outing me as a previous Christian. Yeah, I did. I actually led worship for 16 years of my life there.
Let's go, mate. Let's go. Amen to that.
And when I left religion, I had a lot of very condescending "I'll pray for yous,"
Dude.
which was basically the Christian way of saying "f you." It was like,
Bless your heart.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Bless your heart. So yes, I am quite familiar with singing into a microphone.
Let's go. Let's go. Some glad morning. Okay. Anyways.
Oh no! You pulled out of him.
Oh, baby, we're going hard. Hard in the paint over
Do
here.
you know what's funny is
Yeah.
that my friend was a friend of mine who was also very deeply into the church and who left. She was saying, she's like, we're having ourselves a Christian night. I'm like, what is a Christian night? And she's like, we're getting nostalgic. We're singing all the old hymns. And she's like, we've got a band. We're playing. I was like, for what purpose? She's like, sometimes you just got to keep the memory alive. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Make sure you throw it in "As the Deer" song.
As the tear.
I don't know if you know that hymn.
I
or
don't,
not.
but I know you. We talked about it on the drive back from the valley a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a real deer problem actually in my house right now. I woke up at 4:30 this morning. The friggin' deer are eating my raspberries, eating my blackberries,
getting everything.
eating everything. They ate all the tulips that like my daughter and I planted. I was just like, I hate these things. So if anybody is around Hubli, Nova Scotia,
It has a PAL
and
license.
has something to take out these deer, I'm not going to out you for whatever weapon you choose to use. Just get rid of them for me. I will be eternally grateful because at this point I'm just like, do I need a slingshot? Do I hire an assassin? I don't know what. I'm like, I can get myself a.
We're gonna get axed off
paintball
YouTube
gun.
on it now. We're gonna get axed off YouTube. Lavender says Rebel are also shisty AF.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw that firsthand when we were in Ottawa.
Man. So I have I've had many actually have one-on-one conversations with Alexa Lavoie from the Rebel News, and it was again you talked about firsthand witnessing how they operate is like admittedly I have respect for it.
I have a ton of respect for them.
The hustle they have is just like another level. Because I remember being at CSFN and parading around as a media member when I had no idea what I was doing. And then actually being in the media filing room with people who are actually in media, and like they just operate on a different level of work ethic. And but I'll admit, there was a different work ethic amongst the mainstream folks versus the Rebel News. Yeah, like it was different. There was like a couple of those in the mainstream. Like I'll admit, Stu was one of them. Stu works hard. He works very hard. And but yeah, I was just like seeing how Rebel News is working and like how Alexa works with her cameraman. I was just like, oh, these guys are a different level, man. I was like, I remember she was dropping questions on me and I felt out of my depth. I was like, I don't know, I can't answer this. I'll be honest. I haven't experienced those things. I'm not doing this full time like you are. So yeah, it was fascinating, man.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes to show, again, pulling from the Liberal platform, when they have that whole section on funding for the CBC, they're like, we're funding the CBC for innovation. I'm like, innovation doesn't come at the hands of a government paycheck. Yeah. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Like innovation comes when you're up against it. You need to make, the thing work. Otherwise, you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of that stress and pressure to produce something amazing. And yeah, it's just not happening with CBC, and it won't happen by pouring more money on it. That's for sure.
Nope. $250 million more. Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
Leaf Buzz B says legacy media. How many genders, Pierre, equals fine? Independent media. How many gender, Mark, equals outrage? I actually thought about that when I saw that question come across. I was like, oh yeah, I remember when that question was asked to Pierre Poilievre, and I was like, oh yeah, like mainstream media, that's okay for him to ask. No one cried about it. But then that was asked from True North to Carney, and it was like, why are we bringing identity politics into this election? No one's talking about it. I was like, whoa, how the tables have turned over here.
Yeah.
I was like, that's different.
It was funny because my mom and dad, actually, who are conservative voters, they were like, oh, we thought Mark Carney answered that really well, and he said there's only two, and I said, no, he did not. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, he said there's only two sexes. They ask, how many genders are there? And he said, there are two sexes.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, like maybe he is a good politician after all. So they're like, oh, he answered it. I was like, no, he didn't. He answered the question he wanted to answer. He didn't actually answer the question.
Politics do, baby.
Yeah.
David Edwards says, can't let the loomers win. Loomers equals liberal boomers. All right. Got it.
Thank you for the explanation.
Just Nicole updating us. CTV headline just an hour ago says conservatives gaining ground in Quebec. That is becoming a huge... you know what, Nicole? I need to start paying you or something.
I know.
You dropped some like great intel. No, you bring up a good point. There's not just conservatives that are making gains in Quebec. The Bloc are making gains in Quebec, which is a huge game changer. Mm-hmm. Because even if we go into minority territory with the conservatives with the minority, they're going to end up pairing up with the Bloc. And it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But all it really matters, as long as liberals lose ground in Quebec, their opportunity at getting a majority or their opportunity even getting minority starts to get much slimmer. And if conservatives can steal 20, 21, and 22 seats in Atlantic Canada, we're off to the races, folks. Especially after we saw in BC, what BC's trending at right now. Oh, they have they're projecting 75% of those seats going blue.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. And I understand it goes back to the whole NDP swing into conservatives versus going liberal. If BC goes blue, Quebec, ends up being kind of they just kind of shut down liberals in Quebec, and then they steal something in Atlantic Canada. Things are I don't know if it's going to matter what Ontario does at that point.
Yeah. So my folks, or not my folks, my friends in BC are mad right now because they're the only ones paying the carbon tax. Mm-hmm. And Quebec is as well. They have their own carbon pricing. It's a little bit different than the carbon tax, but BC has its own carbon tax policies. And so they're mad about that. And they're like, why the hell why are we doing this kind of thing? And so I think that they're looking at this going, yeah, we need a conservative wave to hit us too, so that we can make life a little more affordable. And it was interesting. One of the questions that was asked of Pierre by another interviewer, specifically about housing affordability in BC. And he was like, housing was affordable at one point in BC. It's because of the liberal tirade that we've had for 10 years that has basically decimated affordability. He's like, it's never been truly affordable in BC. He's like, but it was never this outrageous expense that we see right now, where it's literally a bubble.
Yeah.
So what you laughing about?
There's just a comment that cracked me up. It was, I lost it. Anyways, it was along the lines. I remember the person, the screen name was, here it is. Mother Fokker says, you guys are about to witness the second miracle of your life. Enjoy.
Yeah, you haven't had the first miracle yet.
First miracle hopefully is coming soon here, folks. We are 11 days post baby due date, so we're just my phone's on. I might leave the studio immediately. Who knows? But I don't think that's happening tonight. But we move on.
Next for the Cup says that the BC consumer carbon tax was removed April 1st.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I was going to correct you on that, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I was actually researching it as we were talking. But I'm glad that Next for the Cup verified that. Yeah.
I wonder why then because I have credible people that are on the ground there and no, my gas is still $1.64.
Gas there sucks, period. It's just always how it's been.
I wonder if they have extra taxes on their fuel that are provincially
We'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
Because I know that was the big question that came from the debates was consumer carbon tax. And then they looked at Yves Blanchette, and says, yeah, but Quebec still has carbon pricing. Yeah. What are you going to do about that? He's like, well, I don't really know. He kind of fumbled his way through it. But
Next for Cup, let us know. Does BC have an extra tax on their gas that makes it so expensive that's provincially based then?
Yeah, we'd like to know. Let me know.
BC stands for bring cash. Yeah, I've heard that one.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on this whole story from the debate night. I think only because I just genuinely would love to know what it would have been like be on the ground in that room and just to see it all go down.
You're like, give me the gossip.
Well, Sheila Gunn-Reid talked about it, and she was like, yeah, it was already tense before that happened. And then when they said we're canceling questions, everyone started coming for us. And I was like, oh man, it's been fun to watch. I shouldn't say fun. It would have been interesting to see that all transpire. So it's just it was just a nice, I shouldn't say nice. It was an interesting story to see that whole tension between mainstream and independent actually play out in real life. And people can actually see how much the mainstream hates independent media.
People
So,
are giving their gas taxes here.
here we go.
They're saying in Quebec, it's what are they saying? I just lost it. $1.58 here in Quebec.
Well,
For us,
$1.36.
yeah. And $1.28 in Calgary.
$1.19 in Ontario.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Stand on guard with me says in NB, the carbon tax came off, but NB government kept charging their tax based on that past number. Interesting.
Nux for Cup says Metro Vancouver does. They have TransLink taxes to help pay for roads and mass transit. It's about 25 cents.
That's what's happening then.
Boom.
Because, because I think they're in North Van. But
Dang.
$1.34 in Winnipeg. Yeah.
It just doesn't sound like a fun time to be over there. I'll be honest.
I think that's wild that depending on the province you're in, like the cost of things are just so different.
Well, just like, I mean, look up one province away, Alberta.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't have a provincial tax.
Yeah,
And then you
exactly.
compare that to what's happening in BC. You're just like, huh? What's happening? We have a lot of great independent creators out of BC. We have Moose on the Loose. We have Mr. Sunshine Baby. And we have Mark Nixon.
I've even been watching a lot of Robin Sky.
Oh, Robin Skies, yes. Like some like great creators out of there who are just like, this place is looking a little rough, folks.
Rough.
Yeah. It's a tough time over here.
Beautiful spot though. Like I have to say, like when I've been to BC quite a few times, and every time I go to the island, I'm like, this would be nice to live here, but not for the cost of living.
No chance.
So-
No chance. We're coming in the last 5 minutes here for her show. I want to kind of put this one out to you. So we have Polyev coming to Trenton, Nova Scotia.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow night as you will be on the ground, experiencing it firsthand?
I want to see him speaking to Atlantic Canadians. Like I know that we had Rick Perkins, who actually had his debate tonight in the South Shore of Nova Scotia in Bridgewater, and he's got lots of support in his riding anyway. He's done an excellent job in his campaigning, and I have no doubt that he's going to win that in a convincing fashion. And he's just really well spoken anyway. But I want to see what Pierre Poilievre says to Atlantic Canada, who is kind of stacked against him a little bit right now, like historically. So I want to see what it is that he's going to pull out to say to Atlantic Canadians, knowing that his platform is already out there, so there's no other promise that he can make. And see what he says to speak directly to Atlantic Canadians.
That one.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Reg will be on the ground tomorrow in Trenton, Nova Scotia. What you got to do, dude. I don't know if you're going to be able to pull this off, but I need you. Oh, wait, never mind. Never mind. I forgot you're gluten intolerant. My bad. But Sam's Pizza up there is unreal.
Go get a slice of Sam's Pizza and then down a bottle of Advil.
Yeah. Stellarton, Nova Scotia. Sam's Pizza, unreal. Ford Street, worth. Best pizza ever. Love to see it.
Angus says he needs to talk directly to the fishers in Nova Scotia.
That's the one. That's the.
I think so.
Yeah.
Part of that too is the fact that we have so many tariffs on us now from China on our seafood industry that I think that if he doesn't talk about that, I think that would be a bit of a miss. I think he needs to actually speak to the fact that China's kind of given the gears to BC and Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and PEI and New Brunswick, all these provinces that border the ocean that, make a lot of their revenue off of the ocean. We're getting hit hard by these tariffs by China. So I think that that's something that he needs to call attention to. So it will be interesting if he does that or not.
I'm going to just post this because I think it's interesting. It goes back to the whole polling situation and how much they get funding. This is Ecos Research and their funding from the Liberal Party over the past year.
Yeah.
October 2024, 60,000. November 24, 100,000. November 24 again, 154,000. December of 24, 208,000. It kept increasing as the election went on.
Yeah.
So again, take the polls for what they are. I'll leave it at that, man.
I mean, you look at all the polling firms though in that, Canada spends, like even Abacus Data, which I've said is like kind of the best of the polls, they're getting a crap ton of money as well. So it's just all those polling firms are just getting so much money from the federal government. I'm like, damn, when are we starting our poll?
Yeah,
Come
seriously.
on.
We need
Federal government pay us too.
So Schween Machine has a really good question here. It says, do you think the CBC will bring on YouTubers?
No, I don't think so.
They're talking to us.
Yeah. But I know they talked to Jen L as
Yeah.
well. But I don't. Are you talking about bring them on and to like have a chat, or are you talking about?
I think they're
bring
talking
them
just bring them on the show, like to bring them like to have a perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they've already done that with Robin Skies too as
Yeah.
well. So and they had Frank Dominic
Mhm.
on there. So I think yeah, they'll have us on for a moment. But if you're talking about like actually hiring on
Oh,
YouTubers
no,
to like
definitely not.
do content, absolutely not.
Hard no.
So
Yeah, we're like they've reached out to us to do a segment. So we'll let you know if that ever ends up happening. We don't know. It's still very much in the talking stages, and they still have to go through our content to see if they want us on. But that's just the reality. So we'll see. Libby T says some people think Carney will find a way to cheat. What's your view? Oh baby. Oh baby. So this has been a spicy conversation amongst the creators, YouTube creators lately.
oh yeah.
Some think that Mark Carney will hit the Emergencies Act and not allow Poilievre to win if he does win the election. Like that talks,
I've heard that one so many times.
that conspiracy,
Yeah.
like that theory's been going around. That's floating around. I'm like, not one I'm subscribing to, but you know, I can see where you go with that. I can understand the trauma that's been given to you. I can understand where that's coming from. But like, are you one of those creators, Reg? We can have a conversation of debate right now. If you're one of those who thinks Carney is going to find a way to cheat, whether it be at the polling stations, whether it be post-election if he loses, or whether watching it right now in real time with how hearts and minds are being manipulated by our media and other infrastructures of power in our country.
I think you've already kind of said the answer that I'm going to go with anyways.
Wow.
The last one is just, I think
Off
that,
to see.
I think that, yeah, we're seeing it right now, what's happening with like the swaying of the media, the allowance of China to meddle and put out the pro Carney rhetoric, and then him being like, I have no idea. I've never seen those people before in my life. And it's
Yeah.
like, what about this picture? Take it down, take it down, take it down. So like, I think that's where you're going to see kind of the extent of meddling. I don't actually believe that we're going to see people, you know, burning ballot boxes that only have conservative votes in them, or that we're going to see Carney throw out an emergency measures act and take control of the government. Because even if he does do that, it doesn't invalidate the vote. So it would only buy him like another week or so before he would have to cede power.
Yeah.
So I just like these kind of things. I'm like, no, I don't see them happening. I actually don't think that the voting process in Canada is compromised. I think it's the leading up to the election that is been so riddled with misinformation from a party who claims to be, you know, the source of truth and the ones who are leading the charge in the fight against misinformation. That's where I think you're seeing the meddling. But yeah, as far as our actual electoral process, I don't think that's compromised.
For sure. I'm hearing word on the street that Pleb will actually be at Trenton tomorrow. So you might see him.
Oh, sweet. We'll
So-
have to link up.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Do the cross streams happening. Cross streams.
Ew. Why did you say that?
Funny. Libby T. Oh, yeah, I already talked about that one. Schween Machine says, will CBC bring on the YouTubers after being defunded? That's an interesting question.
Ooh.
I don't think they'll do that, but I think they'll start seeing what's working.
Yeah.
The reason why people like our show is partially because we've also kind of figured out the YouTube algorithm, which is one thing, which YouTube CBC will never do that because you have to sell your soul just a little bit to be able to do that. I'll be honest. But then there's two is just the style we go. CBC still does this whole like, we're going to sit behind a desk and talk about politics in such an old style way. And we're only going to bring strategists on of the different parties who are going to have no differentiating opinion and just talk about their talking points from their parties. And that's going to be the show. No one's doing anything fun. No one's doing anything that's outside the box that's going to gain viewers. Everyone's just kind of being safe. And until CBC starts taking some chances, like YouTubers like us who are just like telling you how it is, and we'll tell you in a very passionate and engaging way instead of just being like, well, today at 5 o'clock today, out in Toronto, we saw something crazy happen, and it's just there's nothing engaging about that, man. People want to be like, I think that's a part of it. I think politics is changing into entertainment now, and I think that's also been a huge issue.
I actually don't agree with you on that.
Hit me, baby.
I think
One more
I think it's the man, you're all about the music tonight. I'm like, I'm sad that I don't have any songs I can sing tonight for you guys because like Josh is just on one, I guess. But I think it's the integrity that is missing from the mainstream media. I think that they have a narrative that has been approved by their editors, and that's what they're running with. And I think that there's an honesty and an integrity to YouTubers where they're just like, listen, this is how I'm feeling. I wonder if you're feeling that way too. And then you just speak from the soul. Whereas I feel like mainstream media is just completely soulless. They're just vapid kind of, you know, like you said about the talking head, you know, oh, go into this. And it's just like the way that they can report on things too, where they're like, a person was ripped limb to limb from Jack the Ripper, and now we're gonna talk to you about the sunshine forecast, and like, you know what I mean? It's that weird, inauthentic style that I think that people are just done with.
So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The chat's telling me something here, folks. I've been looking around. We have a moose sighting in the chat. David's in the chat. David's in the chat saying our voting is secure. Back to the whole Carney situation. Will he find a way to cheat? I think David's hitting on the exact thing that we agree on. Like, I think our voting system is fine. Nothing's touching that. It's all the manipulation beforehand to move and essentially manipulate people. That's the stuff I'm talking about that I think has been super greasy this election. And I believe David would agree. I'll let him speak for himself, but appreciate him joining, or at least saying hi. Come on the live, baby. Come on the live. We want you to election
We want
night.
to talk to you.
We want you, David. We love you.
Join the party. We're gonna have Jasmine here, and she's a good time. And we're a good time.
Yeah.
Join us.
Join. We know we love you, David. We love you. The people love you. Canada loves you. Let's go, baby. Absolutely.
Next for the cup, throw us another one as well.
Hit me with that.
It says, I believe the Governor General becomes responsible to pass over power after the election. It's not up to Carney.
Spot on.
Yep, and totally. But the problem with the Governor General, as we saw, it's kind of more of a figurehead. It's not really. They're not really, how you say, independent from the current government.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what would happen is that Carney would say, oh, we have a national crisis with Trump, no less. It would be, it'd have to be something about Trump. And Trump's doing this thing, we gotta stop him. Run to the Governor General, tell him to, put in an emergency measure. But like, that's never gonna happen. I don't believe that to happen or be possible, honestly. Prove me wrong if that's the case, but I don't believe that's gonna happen. Yeah. I think that Carney also too, he's well connected. He's not going to want to risk on the international stage some kind of like ridiculous debacle like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to go, okay, I didn't win. Cool. Have fun, Liberal Party. I'm going to go off and do my elitist things now. Like, I don't even think he'll stay with the party, even if he wins his seat and doesn't win the prime minister.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
He'll be gone. Yeah. He's like, oh, no.
He's a punk.
I'm too good for a MP role.
For sure.
Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I don't know. But that's just the way that I look at it.
For sure. I don't blame it. We're just gonna read this last super chat and call it a night because it's getting late here. Travi104 says, everyone I know is voting blue. They'll never say it out loud for fear of a rogue Karen. What do you think are the chances of a majority are for real? I'll say this. What we're seeing currently in the polls, where we're starting to see things close, still in favor of liberals. In some cases, conservatives are surpassing the liberals in some cases. You put this in the chat the other day. If we start seeing even a 1-2 point lead for the conservatives in those polls, that makes me bullish that we're going to see a conservative majority. Because I said, I really do believe the response bias is real in this election. I think people keep kind of comparing to 2021, 2019 elections and previous elections. We've never seen an election like this before. We have the information war that's currently happening around it. We have people who are like very frustrated, and people are literally fighting. We have media members fighting in media filing rooms post-debates. We have violence taking place, political violence happening in our country, whether it be depending on which religion you are, what creed you're a part of. We've started to see things in this country we've never seen, especially during this election. Everything's been a first in this election. And I think the polls are nothing different from that. And so if we start seeing a 1 or 2 point lead from the conservatives, I think we see a conservative majority. That's a me personal perspective.
That's what I want to see, and you're gonna laugh at what I was laughing at when,
Oh.
you were trying to speak, and I'm like distracting you over here. But Livy T says the pleb was live streaming in Vaughan tonight, and someone had a full size cutout of the boomer flipping the bird. People were doing selfies with it.
That's iconic. Dude, someone would bring that to Trenton, man.
Oh man, I hope somebody gives it to the pleb and he takes it.
Yeah, he
Like,
just starts taking that on a countrywide tour. That'd be iconic.
that would be amazing.
Oh, do
that
that.
would be lovely.
Dude.
I want to see that happen.
Oh man,
Oh man,
I'd love to see it.
I'm hoping for a conservative majority. I think that we will see a conservative minority, which I don't know if that's going to be enough, because it means that they'll have to form a coalition government or have a supplying agreement deal with the Bloc Québécois. It also means that they'll have a harder time going up against the Senate.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Senate is stacked
It's
in
gonna be
liberal favor.
It's gonna be tough regardless.
So yeah. I don't know. I definitely think the Conservatives are going to win. Whether it's a majority or minority, I'm still kind of on the fence. I think we'll have to see
for sure
and hear things as the week goes on.
Leaf Busby says the Yahoo opinion poll was also very interesting. Post debate. Did you see that?
I didn't see that one. No.
Post debate, Yahoo did a kind of quick snap poll, and I think it was like 58 or 60% said they preferred Polyev.
Yeah, I know that Abacus did one as well as a quick poll.
Yeah,
and they were showing that people felt that the Conservatives actually had the better arguments, and I was like,
that's iconic. Love to see it. I think Jilly Peppers also said, we'll shout this out. Free plug for David. Hey guys, the hoodie I'm wearing in my profile I got from Moose on Loose website. Best hoodie ever. Let's go. We love the Moose on Loose merch out here. Alberta won't be happy with the minority. They still choose to leave. I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brennan's falling asleep on us back there, so we got to make sure he gets home here soon. But thank you so much. You know what? Chat, give it up for Brendan. Woo! We love Brendan. He's sacrificing for the homies. He's given us his services at a ridiculous cost, like ridiculous. He's like, I just believe in what you guys are doing, and I'm just here to help. And I'm like, you know what? You the man. You're awesome. You're getting a shout out. People are going to know your name, Brendan. People are going to know who you are. And he's also the producer on the Builder by Day podcast, who are so fortunate, but also so thoughtfully allowing us to use their space for tonight and as well as for election night. So whatever it is you're doing, whether you be going to work,
listening to the Builder by Day podcast,
or going to the gym, whatever it is you're doing, or you're enjoying fun with the with the cutout. Sorry, that's amazing.
I love that one.
That's amazing.
Pleb, bring that cutout, please.
Please bring it to Trenton, baby. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, we love you. We're out. Peace. Oh man. Yep.
Yep. People are
on
saying
both YouTube